Hey, how you doing? It's your boy Tasso the Greek, and this is the People's Conspiracy. I am here in Brooklyn, New York, and you're out there somewhere in the universe. Time and space mean nothing, blah, blah, blah. Well, what you've joined me here today to do is I'm joined sort of metaphysically by Brainz O'Brian, one of the oldest members of the In Your Head universe and constant thorn in the side of Jackie Jones. So anyone who's an enemy of Jackie Jones of In Your Head and Without Your Head is a friend of mine. Again, I repeat, Jackie Jones, the founder of In Your Head, not 1 Inch Biceps, the greatest podcaster ever, greatest professional wrestling podcaster in history. 1 Inch Biceps has nothing to do with Jackie Jones. Jackie Jones from In Your Head and from Without Your Head, where he uses some sort of a weird alias. Any enemy of his is an enemy of mine. And I'm talking about Brainz O'Brian. And Brainz O'Brian and I are good friends. We've decided that we were going to ask each other really, really good questions. And Brainz has decided he was going to send me a bunch of stuff over on Facebook and we would discuss it online over here. So I'm going to do a little share screen. I believe I'm sharing my screen, but if I'm not, I shall try over here. Yes, very good. Thank you very much. There you go. I mean, the questions just keep coming for Tasso the Greek over here at the People's Conspiracy. So I'm going to try to do my best to answer all your questions about conspiracies, about politics, about the ultra parasites, the elites, and the people on the street, the plebes, the pieces of shit like myself. Okay, because I am in touch with everyone. So Frank, Brainz O'Brien asks me, Tasso the Greek, were the Greeks that the Romans just ripped off their gods, etc.? So first of all, I said, Brainz, when you do send me some questions, can you please make them in English? I think Brainz is from Wales, but I could be wrong. He could also be from Saskatchewan. I have not nailed down his position yet, boys. I mean, I haven't nailed down where he comes from, but I'm gonna ask him a lot of those questions later on as we get to know each other, me and Brainz O'Brien, as we plot to take down our enemies. So we're the Greeks. Let me see if I can figure this crazy shit out. This crazy question. Were the Greeks that the Romans just ripped off their gods, etc.? Yes, the Greeks were before the Romans, and they basically took their gods and they changed them up. But that's happened all throughout history. The Greeks had a bunch of Egyptian gods that they sort of took and made not pastiches of them or some shit. I don't know, man. Ancient history is old. These civilizations were around for thousands of years, not like America, which is around like a couple hundred years. And we've got George Washington and we've got Oprah, right? And that's it. So the Greeks had plenty of these like celebrity gods that were like these offshoot transgender versions of Zeus. And then the Romans took that and made their own gods in their own language, but it's all the same shit. So would you say they ripped them off? I mean, I'd say anything where maybe, yeah, I would say they ripped Greeks off. They ripped Greeks off on a lot of stuff. And then the Romans, what they also did was continue the pedophilia right into the Catholic Church. Question number 2 from Brains. Oh, but we could talk about it some other time because that would be not only a podcast, that would be like a year's worth of research, not even a year's worth of research, a year's worth of statements in front of a fucking judge and multiple judges and juries when it comes to the Catholic Church and pedophilia. I think we could count the Greeks out when it comes to pedophilia, about people being thrown into jail for that. We could definitely say the Romans have just been a long time. Catholic Church, anyway, anyone who's a fucking pedophile needs to get their head busted in. Next, Greece is like Vern Gagne's AWA to Vince's Rome WWF. I think that's a pretty good comparison. Yeah, so definitely, I don't know, Greece is to Vince's Rome. Greece is like Vern's AWA, and Rome is WWF. Oh, Vince's WWF. I don't give a shit, Brains. Give me something better than wrestling. Brains O'Brien and I, we're gonna just get away from that professional wrestling bullshit that is just degenerate waste of time. And we're going to get into more philosophical conversations. And we hope to bring everyone in the Tasso-verse and people involved in the People's Conspiracy, and also the people who are going to take part in the distraction. We want them to get rid of all that dumb shit, stop those bad habits like watching professional wrestling or watching pornography or watching sports or betting on sports. Just bad habits, you know. Just stop all the bad habits. That's going to be a big part of this show that I'm going to do on the reg, because I hurt my shoulder, my collarbone is sticking out, and I re-hurt it. And that's what this thing is around my neck, because I hurt my collarbone. Next question from Brian O'Brian's, or Brainz O'Brian. The Phoenicians seem important. A lot of the weird occult stuff seems to be from them. They were ancestors of the Canaanites, had child sacrifices, etc. They were at north of the Levant, neighbors of the Jews that moved into their south. Fascinating. We're going from the Greeks and Romans. These are the Brainz O'Brian. This is the thought process. This is how fast Brainz' head is spinning. Brainz, you are a genius. You are a man amongst mice. You are a king amongst the goblins. And you're definitely not a goblin. A guy would sleep with a goblin or a succubus or any of those sort of half demon, half sexy person. Wouldn't sleep with them, Brainz. Neither would Tasso the Greek. So yeah, the Phoenicians were important as far as I believe they were the first to have the written language. They probably got some. I think the Greeks took some of that written shit from the Phoenicians and kind of cleaned it up a little bit, right? They were into the weird occult stuff. I guess you could say who wasn't into the weird occult stuff back then. Imagine if we had video phones back then. They were ancestors of the Canaanites. Yes, I believe they were. The Canaanites are some bad dudes. Again, child sacrifices. I believe they worshipped Moloch or Baal, perhaps. And they were at north of the Levant, neighbors of the Jews that moved into their south. Yes, I do believe the Levant basically is was full of crazy, like people with crazy diseases, and also they were very thirsty all the time because they lived in the desert, and because they were so crazy and scared all the time, they didn't want to go anywhere. And they probably also had these weird stories of how if they were to like move out of the desert that they would get lost. I don't know. But yeah, so when you hang out in the desert and you're thirsty, you're so thirsty you're drinking like camel pee, then you're gonna have these crazy ideas, and you're probably gonna believe in demons. And then, you know, if you believe in demons, then your kids are gonna believe in demons, and everyone's gonna be believing in the demons. And that's kind of what happened to the world, really. It was this demon stuff just kept going and going and going. But you know the stories. But that was about it for that question, I think, Brainz. But you did mention the Canaanites. You did mention, let's see, they were north of the Levant, neighbors. You said the south. I guess I covered everything in this question. I do believe the Canaanites also had Carthage. Gosh, now if I get this wrong, then I'm going to feel like an absolute dope, because I could have like looked this up before I did this little this Brainz and Tasso production here. Brainz, it's not little at all, it's huge, it's big. So I believe the Canaanites eventually ended up in North Africa, right? They moved into the south of the Levant, and then they built a city in Carthage, and then they warred with the Romans, and then the Romans basically kicked their asses. But basically, the Carthaginians were big time Moloch worshippers and Baal worshippers, and they had these big giant statues that were made of bronze, and they had like these big these big bowls and shit, and then you would throw your babies in there, and you would yell "Hail to the Chief" or something, and you would do a dance, and you would probably throw some fruit in there, and you would throw some trees, and you throw some like roots and bury probably some gold and some bunch of shiny rocks that you found down by the river, and you would throw some live babies in there also, and then you would throw some wood. It would be lit and on fire, and you would throw that in there, and maybe some incense too, to make that whole mess not smell so babyish, so burning fleshy. And so you throw however you make incense, frankincense, that good biblical stuff. Throw some gold in there, which then you're gonna dig it out later. So you're pretending to like sacrifice the gold, but the babies are going in there into the big fiery braziers. They're big fucking cauldrons made of bronze or something, where you throw fire. Fire somehow, it's like a primitive stove, a primitive frying pan. And the fire is like inside the frying pan, and that's where you put the stuff that you're cooking. And then that shit, it's sacrificed it's like given up in smoke to the gods. And then you're saying, "Oh, great Moloch, great Baal, I'd like my camels to have much milk this." And then your uncle goes cuckoo and eat, because you just fucking you burned his daughter, his like third daughter. You just threw her in so he just loses his shit, and he goes running into the desert, and he creates a new religion. And that's basically, I hope, answers the question of what happened to the Phoenicians from my friend Brainz O'Brian. Brainz has a lot more questions. I think I'm going to make the Tasso the Greek, Brainz O'Brian segment, or answering Brainz questions. I'll come up with a catchy title to it. We will do this in future. What? There's more. Folks, I have breaking news on the Canaanites from Brainz O'Brian. They had little ports, he says, enclaves every 30 miles. I don't know, though. He says Britain had pagans that did a bunch of shit, too. I think it is in everyone to go mad and do weirdo stuff. Brainz, you are the new age. You are the new age Galileo, man. You are like one of those really smart guys, like Harry Houdini. You just solved. Yeah, you're right. Everyone's crazy. Everyone's gone crazy. Everyone's had these crazy ideas. Everyone tried everything. The Brits were pagans, and probably every November, or whatever the fuck they called it, those fucking limey bastards, they would run into the forest and like lynch the village down near the docks or nearby the rocks or something, and they beat the shit out of them, and who knows what the fuck so everyone's got some fucking skeletons in their closet. And but I would like to get back to the Carthaginians and the Canaanites. That is a whole other, that's a thing that you would want to talk about. I don't really like Britain very much. I couldn't think of any reason why I would spend like more than 3 minutes talking about anything at all to do with Britain. And I'm going to leave it at that. It's very boring. So once Brainz, please don't ask me stuff about the UK, because I don't care about that stupid, dirty island in the middle of like the Atlantic's toilet, basically, is what the United Kingdom is. Anyway, so I hope everyone enjoyed questions from Brainz O'Brian answered by Tasso the Greek. And shit, I do apologize that I'm not getting the screen saver shit down, the screen sharing shit down. I will get it down so that we can like look at memes together and photos of my latest vacations to all the hot spots around Bay Ridge, Brooklyn. All right, folks, thanks a lot. I'm going to stop the share here. Oh, and let me give a shout out to my man Donald Trump. Good luck, Donald Trump. President Donald Trump, on your indictment. Good luck to you, man. We'll maybe do a show about President Trump today also. Although I don't want to steal the thunder of the show that's going to be coming on later tonight that I'm a fan of in a pathetic sort of way. Pathetic meaning the show's pathetic. I just sit there and laugh at it. That is In Your Head Wrestling. I like to see what the goofballs and the degenerates do so that I don't do it. And one of those things is to watch professional wrestling. Everyone, thanks again. Join me, Brainz O'Brian, and what? I'm not Brainz. Join me, Tasso the Greek, and Brainz O'Brian, Brainz O'Brian's questions, as we fight the dark forces of evil, and stop enabling the Goblin King, Jackie Jones. This is Tasso the Greek, the People's Conspiracy. We are out.